The Saint Mort Show.
From like a writer's standpoint, like I understand constructing a story and I understand that stuff, so I'm always just entertained of like how do they get from point A to point B and you know all that different stuff.
So you're not one of those crazy
Yeah, I'm not one of
This
those.
shit is real, man.
Well, it's not even this shit's real. People get too emotionally attached to a guy that they like. And if that guy doesn't immediately have the belt, it's just like, oh, the Vince McMahon's holding him down. And it's like, well, no, maybe they don't have a story for him.
Yeah.
Like, they can't just throw the belt to somebody unless they know that there's a story to tell from that.
There are examples of people that they gave them the belt and they didn't have enough of a story behind it.
Yeah, so it just fell flat on its face.
Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Perfect example of a guy they wanted to give him the belt.
Because he's a character who can't wrestle, and he has no story behind him. Just he's like, hey, he's funny when he comes in. Like you hear that music, and you're like, here it is.
I love the Ultimate Warrior, and it wasn't just because of anything he did. It was his nonsensical talking points. Like everybody else came in and they had like I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this, and the Warrior was just like, I came down today from the top of the mountain down to the valley, and all the warriors picked up their pitchforks and went this way, and they got in their cars, and everything came down, and it was great. And it was just like, the fuck were you talking about?
Yeah, it's kind of, and I think that's what's really entertaining when you watch, like, he might have been a shit-ass wrestler, but he is easily one of the top 5 best people to cut a promo.
Yes, absolutely. Because you sat there wondering what the hell he was going to talk about.
Yeah, you're like, where is this going?
Yeah. And at the same time, once he goes through all his gibberish, you're like, yeah.
Well, and I think that he's one of those guys that you definitely know when you watch his promos that there was no writer there.
No.
Like, he's just, because he always had, like, those moments where you could tell that he was like, and like,
and that's where the gold happened. That's where the gold happened. And he was just like, I came down and the fighter jets rained down from the heavens, and it was just like, yeah, it makes no sense. And then when he gets done his speech, you were like, but I like it.
And like the people that come, like, it's really cool. You need to come over one day for a pay-per-view party, because it's really cool getting like 10 or 15 people in this basement, and you've got like, you know, this dude Trap and this dude Clure, who have been like, I've been watching wrestling since I was like 5 years old. I never got out of it, and they're just spitting off like someone, like, I asked a question, I was like, wasn't there like an event outside with like Yokozuna? And the guy was just like, July 4th, 1994. He's like, it was to lead up to SummerSlam, and people were trying to slam Yokozuna. No one could do it. Lex Luthor came in on a helicopter. He was wearing this red, white, and blue vest deal because they had changed his character from the narcissist to the Great American, and he was the first person to body slam Yokozuna. And it was just like that, like, encyclopedic knowledge. Like, no, I've like watched this shit. I've rewatched this shit. Like, I know this stuff.
So he's like a wrestle Trekkie.
Yeah, he's like a wrestling Rayman. And like, but then you have like, this dude Brian who does camera for a show that we're trying to work out, and my roommate who, like, they watch the pay-per-views with us, so they're familiar with the people that they see every week, every month on pay-per-view. But that's like the extent of it, and like they're more here for like hey, this is just kind of fun to eat pizza with some friends and whatever. The casual fan, and then there's like me and this other guy Matt and a few other people who are kind of like the new fan, like. We were into it when we were little, and then we kind of got out of it for like 2 decades, and now we're kind of back into it. And it's like, hey, this is fun, like whatever. And we're all going into it not like, even the guys who are like the hardcore wrestling fans, they're like the smart wrestling fans. Like, they get it. It's the sake for telling a story.
Yes.
And I don't think that there's a lot of people who don't understand that it's fake. Like, there's definitely like little kids who don't understand it, but I think there's a lot of adults who remember the past years through a very specific tinted glass.
My family is from the South.
Yeah.
So they took wrestling entirely.
Oh yeah, you hear about the South wrestling.
My aunt has or she's dead now, but she had a police record because of a wrestling event. One of her favorite guys got cheated out of the belt.
Yeah. And she stormed the ring.
She stormed the ring and bludgeoned the guy with a shoe.
Nice.
Like, she took her heel and just started beating the guy with a heel. And the police had to come and arrest her.
Who hit someone with a shoe?
That was the only thing she had.
Yeah.
She literally just went, she stormed the ring. Who does that?
And I think that's, like, I wish I still had that level of, like, emotional reaction. Because I think really for a lot of people, Clore had said something that I thought was really incredible, which he's like, I found myself questioning, am I still a wrestling fan because I'm really immersed into this, or has it just become such a ritual over the last 20 years? He goes, and then Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker. He goes, and I felt it so deep in me.
And then you're like...
He's like, you know what? I'm in this because I'm a fan. Like, he's like, it's not just routine. He's like, because that, like, hit me.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, there's a moment where I, like, lost my breath. He's like...
like, you're like, he put him down, and he's like, 1, 2, and then it was like 3.
Yeah, you were all waiting for that kick out.
Like, he didn't kick out. Did something go wrong?
And
did the ref fuck up?
And the performance of Paul Heyman is what sold that third hit, because Paul Heyman had that reaction like he couldn't believe that it just happened. Yeah. And it wasn't like the typical over the top, like that looked like something happened that wasn't supposed to happen, and he was thinking on his feet, and that was exactly how he had to play it. And then, you cut to that black dude in the audience who just summed up the expression of every person that was watching at that very moment.
I'm going to do the rest of the podcast from that guy.
The face on the podcast. But then it's like I said, like, I had a room of like 20 people that just fell silent. Like, absolute silence. You can stop because it's audio only. It's not working.
I know. It was just going to be dead silence for the rest of the time. You just come back to me.
And I feel like we may have talked about this the last time I spoke to you, but no one would have heard that because Lily hijacked the entire interview somehow.
What was that about, man? It was just...
Like the microphones were just like, this wrestling shit's boring. Let's hear her sell something.
It was like you were holding the mic in front of me, and all of a sudden it was just like, yeah, let me just meander it over here, 10 feet away from us.
I remember editing that episode and getting to that and being like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't understand how it happened, because the mic was nowhere near her.
No, it was in front of us. Like, it was pointed at us. And
a lesser, well, actually, I guess a better podcaster wouldn't have even put it in the episode at all, but I was like, shit, this is funny.
You were just like, let's
put 12 minutes of a person selling headshots at the end of this episode.
Interspersed with
every once in a while you would hear us talking again.
Yeah. When she stopped talking,
you would hear us for a couple seconds,
and then somebody else would come to the
table. So for those of you who haven't figured it out from the introduction, this is Paul Ray. You're the founder of it, correct?
Yes, I'm the founder.
Ashen Phoenix.
Yes.
A modeling agency. If you had been able to hear the interview, you would know that they started off with car shows and now have been kind of doing a nice blend of car show and conventions, and you've got a calendar coming soon.
It used to be kind of a blend. We're kind of moving away from the car show scene. It's something we've done for a long time. It's kind of how you were worried about whether or not you were a wrestling fan or you were going through the motions. And for a lot of years, I think we were kind of going through the motions of the car show scene. It's something that we've done. We've done for years and years and years. 9 years now for the scene. And it's just like, as soon as we went to our first con as a team last year at New York Comic Con, we were just like,
this is it.
This is our home.
Well, I've developed a pretty decent friendship with Lily since the interview, and she's told me that too. Where she's like, going to the car show, it's work. Like it's like you're not going there for fun. You're going there for work. She goes, going to the convention, you're still there for work, but you're actually having fun.
Yes.
Like you're like, oh my god, everyone's so friendly, and she's like, because there's a lot of assholes that wander around car shows.
So many.
I definitely think there's a very solid correlation between people who are really into cars and people who are really into themselves, and they have a nice little overlap inside that circle where they
There's
think that
not
they
really
can talk to
overlap.
people.
I gotta say that they're within the same. Like they
exist in the circle.
you draw those diagrams, and when you're talking about car show people and somewhat douchey people, you just draw one circle. I realize I'm shooting myself in the foot because we still are in the car scene, but
that's all right. No one listens to this show, so you're fine. Well, that's like every time she complains to me about having to do a car show, I always send her the same clip from The Simpsons where they're at the car show, and it's the model. It's an old episode. It was probably like the first or second season.
Okay,
Homer goes
like still like Tracy Ullman.
Yeah.
Stuff.
They go to a car show, and there's the car model standing next to the car, and it has a giant sign that says like, sign up to try to win this car. And Homer walks over, he signs, he goes, do you come with the car? And she goes, oh, you. And he puts the thing into the box, and the next guy shows up and goes, hey, do you come with the car?
Oh my God, that's where it came from. That happens.
Like, guys just say that all the time.
That happens. That is not exaggeration. I hear it at least 100 times and that's not an exaggeration. I hear it 100 times at the car show. Do you come with the picture? Does your number come with the picture? I'd rather have you. Who the fuck cares? Buy a picture. Go away.
Then that's something that if I ever have Lily on again, I definitely would like to talk about the creep, because we kind of played it PC as I tend to do with people on the show. We play a little PC the first time we talk. I'm like, tell me about the creeps, like, because that's way more interesting radio.
There are a lot of creeps.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot of scary people.
Well, I always told her when I showed up at the table at Philly, and I didn't even say my name yet. I don't think I just said, "Hey, I'm from the Saint Mort Show," and you're like, "I know you. I'm gonna text Lily." And my low self-esteem was like, oh no. Like, is he like, he's here, hide. He's here, hide.
You saw my phone.
So how did this all come about? Had you done anything previously with modeling, and like, or was Ashen Roth, that was a rapper from Westchester. Was Ashen Phoenix something that you were just like, this is the thing I want to do, and you kind of did on your own, or did you have some previous experience that led to this?
I actually had no experience. I'll give, like, I haven't put this out on there. I mean, some of the girls know the story behind the company and everything like that. This all started with 4 friends.
Okay.
That wanted to start a porn company.
Okay.
And they had no idea what the hell was going on. And I was the only person that had any kind of business sense. I went to school for business, business marketing, all that kind of stuff. So then I'm the only person that had any kind of idea about contract law and things like that. So basically, I was brought in to make sure people didn't go to jail.
Yeah.
Because there's a very fine line between pornography and prostitution.
Exactly.
And
so listeners of the podcast who've been listening for like the 4 or 5 years I've been doing this know this. But around the first like 20 episodes of this show, I was the personal assistant for 7 porn stars in Los Angeles. So I actually know, like, my whole job was dealing with the legal aspect of like every single client that a porn star worked with. I had to file all their information.
Yeah.
I had to make sure that anytime a video was uploaded, along with that video was all of the paperwork that showed that this was a legal agreement.
US 218, right?
Yeah, like, here's the legal agreement between these 2 performers, here's the proof of their age, here's this and the other thing. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah,
because
there's an insane. You don't realize, like,
Yeah,
anybody who has never done anything other than watch porn does not understand there is a mountain of paperwork.
The amount of paperwork in a filing cabinet this woman had, because the one main girl that I worked for did almost all of her own content. Not only was she a star of porn, but she was the writer and director of all of her stuff. So and she had to have 2 new videos a week. So every week when she was releasing these new videos, I would have to go through the filing cabinet and find that performer's name and rescan that into the computer and send all that information, email all that information. It's weird how much paperwork is involved.
Yeah. Well, see, they didn't realize that. They assumed it was just like, we're going to sit on set, we're going to watch 2 girls like have sex.
Yeah, we're just going to post a Craigslist ad.
And then maybe at the end, they'll want to bang us. I kid you not. I wish I made that up, but that's real. And as we still had not shot a single frame of everything, as the mountain of paperwork started to mount on like what is needed to get done and what that everything that you have to do, they looked at much less as that, and it's like, dude, this is work.
Yeah. Oh, is that like? So one of the stories I've never been able to tell in the air, and I'll tell it now, because I'm still really good friends with the one girl that I worked primarily with and her husband, was she would have her own webcam room. That's where she made like a large chunk of money, was doing webcam sessions. And meanwhile, her husband, who was her manager, and I would be sitting in the living room, and we could like hear her in the next room over.
That'd be so awkward.
And he was like this, like he was a big ass. He had this huge woman, or this gorgeous woman, and he was like this 250-pound Latina guy who collected action figures, and like that's how I met him, was through conventions. So he had a bootleg of every one of the old 70s Marvel cartoon series, like the Thor cartoon series.
Wow.
So we would just be watching
Spider-Man and Friends.
We're just watching Spider-Man and Friends on our computers, and if she got too loud, he would kick up the volume louder. And it's like, this is this is the stuff that they don't tell you about, like, the porn industry, is like the sitting around watching cartoons in the next room.
No, what they don't tell you about porn industry is when you're brought on set for something, how deathly quiet you must be.
Oh, you've got to be. Because it has to be just those people. As far as the viewer is concerned, if there's anyone else in that room, the illusion is ruined for them.
I've been on the set for one. Only one.
I was never on the set for any of them.
Well, it was a POV video, so it was literally like a dude in a hotel room, kind of thing.
Which is shockingly where a lot of them are.
Yeah, it really does happen a lot.
Think about that next time you go to like Los Angeles and you're staying at a hotel. There's a good chance a group of porn stars rented that room out.
It doesn't even have to be that. Like, this was done in like Millville, New Jersey.
That's I'm just saying that's like the place where I know most of them live and do their own content.
Yeah, and I was brought along for quote unquote moral support. Yeah, let that sink in.
Just patting the guy on the back. Go work.
No, it was for the girl. I mean, I was there for the girl.
Just like, you look gorgeous, baby. Keep doing it.
And they don't. There is no manual to prepare you for that kind of awkwardness.
Yeah, no. I had a few chances to visit sets. I'm like, I'm pretty good. I already have to edit the videos, so I see the awkwardness from that.
Yeah. So I literally sat in a corner and I read the front page of the newspaper like 15 times.
Yeah,
because you can't even open the paper because that's too much noise.
Yeah. It's so funny because, like, especially when I moved back home and, like, people knew. Like, I liked jokingly saying it because there was always the joke of, like, you're never going to become a filmmaker. You're just going to be, like, a sleazy porn director. So it was kind of funny that, like, I went to LA and just worked in the porn industry in, like, the most non-way of working in the porn industry. Like, filing paperwork and responding to fan mail. So
that had to be fun.
Oh, it was awesome. But like people were just like, "Oh man, did you do it? Like, was it you did it, didn't you?" And it's like, you know how hard it is to just like go up to imagine going up to your boss at work and just being like, "Hey, you, me, let's do it." She's still my boss. Like, she may have sex with dudes for money, but she's my boss. At the end of the day, she's writing my checks. I've done,
yeah.
Like, you're not just being like, hey, I know you banged that dude. How about a freebie to this guy who filed your paperwork?
Oh, God. And to finish that one story, there is nothing worse. Like, you think that going to an awkward porn set is bad. The worst part is the elevator ride and car ride home. It is just silence because you're looking at a girl who you had some sort of respect for. You just watch blow a guy, and
it's still like hanging off of her.
Yeah, and like it's rare that you get to watch the walk of shame from the door to door. Like. If you pass a girl and she's doing that walk of shame, you're there for you have that like brief like second and a half interaction. This was a half-hour ride of shame to the door.
Was this like her first and only time?
First and only time.
Okay, so that's extra hard. Like at least like with the people I was working with, they were pros.
Yeah,
like they were well past the walk of shame at that point.
No, this is her first and only, and it was just like. We literally drove home in complete silence. Like, she didn't even say goodbye. She just closed the door and walked to her room. And I was just like, I'm never going to see her again. And I don't think I've seen her since. Like every now and then she'll hit me up on Facebook, and I'm just like, I can't look at your pictures because I see.
I've seen it all.
I've seen it all. Can't do it.
Yeah, and I think that you not pursuing that porn career idea probably worked out for the best in the long run, because
that's
I think
one of the things I noticed, that like whether or not porn wants to admit it or not, they're actually a subset of modeling in general. Like
absolutely, and most of them have to, for legal purposes, like a lot of them have to say I'm a model.
Yeah.
like on their W-2s or whatever. Like no one wants to write down their profession porn star.
Yeah.
They're a model.
So during the whole mountain of paperwork and procession of rules and laws and everything like that, I realized that through my research that I could take this company after they literally just handed it to me because it was just like, it's work, we don't want it. I basically just lifted it like one rung up and said, okay, well, we're going to do modeling.
Yeah.
We're never, ever, ever, ever going again
to toy
to
with the
open
porn.
that door.
Yeah. Which the people who act like there's a ton of money to be made, there is at a certain level. But it's definitely not from the ground floor.
Yeah, no,
no.
It's
a lot of work. There's a lot of work. Oh, there is, but there's a lot. The first year or two is a lot of degrading work, and trying to find a way to be like, well, how can I get them to come to my site?
Yeah, there's a lot of creepy hotel rooms.
Yeah,
that first year.
Before you get to that point where they're like, "Would you like to direct the Star Wars porno?" And you're like, "Would I ever?" That's one of the funniest people I ever met was this guy Axel Brunn, who does all the Star Wars, like he does all the geek porn parodies.
Oh my God.
Because he's a geek in real life. Mm-hmm. So he did like the Batman porn parody, which I believe is the best-selling porn of all time.
No way.
It's the 60s Batman. And the best part about it is that the DVD comes with a bonus feature where you can watch it without the sex, and it's just a 25-minute episode of the Batman 60s series. And he like pulled a male porn star out of retirement, told him not to get in shape because he wanted him to have the Adam West gut inside the suit. He made the one actor grow out a mustache to play the Joker so they could paint over the mustache. I
almost want to watch this.
It's if you even just watch the trailer, you're like, that's a really good fan film. Like he when I asked him about it one time, he's just like, look, I'm never gonna get asked to make a Star Wars movie. He's like, but I'll get asked to make a Star Wars porn. So if I'm going to get asked to make a Star Wars porn, I'm going to make the Star Wars movie that I've always wanted to make. Like he's like, and like the porn is like the second, like that's like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Like I just want to make the movie that I've always said I wanted to make as a kid.
That would be hilarious as a director. Like you're like, this is what I want to do. We're doing this and doing this, and it's like, oh, now we can have sex.
Well, my one friend was on the set for the Star Wars one. He played one of the Cantina characters. And he said, like, he's like, this dude's like the Stanley Kubrick of porn making. Because he's like, we're sitting there and we shot for 2 hours. He goes, oh, cut. Throw it all away. And he's like, throw it all away? And he's like, yeah, Ben Kenobi's sitting on the left of Luke, but he sits on the right of Luke in the movie. We got to reshoot it all. Wow. And it's like that's like the geeky attention to detail of like when he was doing these parodies, he's like, it needs to like for me, it needs to be
if only X-Men Days of Future Past had hired him.
Exactly.
That movie wouldn't have sucked.
Exactly. I still haven't seen it, but I liked X-Men First Class.
It sucked.
It's bad.
It's bad.
Because X-Men First Class was a nice breath of the fresh air after X3.
I don't get it. Like there are so many people that saw Days of Future Past and were just like, that is the greatest comic book movie ever. And I'm like, did we see the same movie? I understand. Basically, okay. There are 3 ways to watch.
The greatest superhero movie of all time, we all know, is The Incredibles. That's an awesome movie. Pixar's The Incredibles is the best Fantastic Four movie that's ever been made.
I can't wait to see Incredibles 2.
Maybe the villain will be a cloud.
Yeah, we'll see. But there are 3 ways that you're going to approach it. If you approach this movie as this is a standalone movie,
mm-hmm.
none of the other movies have influenced this movie at all.
Yeah.
Assume that First Class never happened. Assume that none of the X-Men movies happened. None of the Wolverine movies
no
happened.
X2, nothing.
Then Days of Future Past is a pretty awesome movie.
But within the continuity of everything else.
But yes, now if you watch it as a comic book movie, you will hate it because of how horrible they changed.
Worse than sewing Deadpool's mouth shut.
Yes, this makes Wolverine look like a masterpiece in my opinion.
That kind of did it for me with Wolverine. Because I was like, you have the merc with a mouth,
and then you
with no mouth.
Yeah, and then you watch it as I usually watch movies. It's like, look, I understand that they're going to take some liberties with the canon. It's not going to follow it.
Yeah,
I'm okay as long as you follow your own continuity that you have established.
Yeah,
the Marvel universe does that flawlessly.
It's the Fox-owned properties or whoever it is that owns it.
Yeah, Fox just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And they did that. Like, it's been months, so this is not a spoiler. I couldn't get past the first 5 minutes of the movie when Xavier rolls out.
Because you're like, he's dead.
He's dead. Oh, well... And then you'll get these
hidden
comic book guys will be like, oh, well, in the hidden ending...
he's playing chess with Magneto or something like that.
No, in the hidden ending, he goes into that body that people are talking about when he was talking about transferring his consciousness. I'm like, okay, smartass. So why is he still Patrick Stewart?
Yeah.
Maybe he's a clone, or maybe he's like a twin brother. Then why is he still in a wheelchair? Did his clone somehow get shot in the back too?
So.
It's like just stuff like that. You couldn't. There was so much stuff you couldn't get past. Why was Bolivar Trask a little white guy played by Peter Dinklage when in X2 he was a 6'5", 300-pound black man? And stuff like
I love when you can shut someone up with like a logical statement related to a comic book movie. Last night when we were all sitting here, our friend Brian was talking about like all the plot holes in Dark Knight Rises. And don't get me wrong, there's a ton of plot holes in Dark Knight Rises. Yes. But he was like how the fuck, like he blew up all these bridges and it's just like, how the fuck did Batman get back into Gotham City from that hole that he was in? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And we're sitting there and all of a sudden my roommate just goes, didn't he like fight on a sheet of ice in Batman Begins? Like, wasn't that like all part of his ninja training in that movie? And like,
I just took that for granted.
The room like came to science. He's like, he probably could have just walked across the ice.
I had never had that argument at all because I was just like assumed it's like, oh, well, he's back because he's Batman because that's always the comic argument because Batman.
Yeah. Like, and it was like, oh my god, that makes absolute sense. So like that whole scene that felt like a throwaway element, like, no, most of his training was in the snow on ice.
Like, he was trained in the League of Shadows by Ra's al Ghul. Yes. Oh my god. It was so much more.
It was the most random, like, room silencing moment. It's like, oh my god. Like, how has no one else mentioned that ever?
Yeah.
But then I applaud. If that was intentional, I applaud Christopher Nolan. Even if it wasn't intentional, good job accidentally giving yourself an out.
Yeah, I did have an issue at all of the police coming out of the hole clean shaven and completely fine. After I guess they've been there for what, like 3 months?
3 months, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I had someone once describe Christopher Nolan to me as the man who makes the most the dude makes the most plot holed 5-star movies of all time. Like, every one of his movies, there's so many issues logically and so many plot holes, but the movie's just so good. You're like, I'm gonna be whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm enjoying my experience too much to bitch about it.
I couldn't get past that in Days of Future Past.
Yeah, and that's a sign of a good director, though. A good director who can tell a compelling story, you can look past the logical leaps and issues and just go, you know what, I'm entertained by this story. Like, I had written a status yesterday about watching Ishtar, like a movie that everyone shit on as like the worst thing of all time. I was like, it's not a bad.
You've apparently never seen The Tuxedo.
Exactly. I was like, this isn't that terrible. It's okay. Like, I understand why people didn't like it. I'm entertained. Like, it's.
Or Around the World in 80 Days.
Are you just going to name Jackie Chan movies?
Yes. Yeah, pretty much any.
Pretty much any time he came to America.
Yes, any American Jackie Chan movie is just really, really bad.
It's kind of funny that you watch like those old movies and then it's just like, and now he's a comedy actor.
Yeah.
Who just
like,
happens to do kung fu.
The most amazing action star that ever came out of China, and then it was just like, I think he was China.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure he's Chinese.
It's just like, let's have him be a chef.
Yeah.
Like,
let's have him teach the Karate Kid kung fu.
Well, that we won't even get into.
No, that hurts.
The Karate Kid was, I mean, I did sit down and watch it.
Although, somehow I believe the Karate Kid, the new Karate Kid, will actually be better than the new Fantastic Four. Because, dear God, have you heard the train wrecks?
I love the postings that you guys have been doing on the Ashen Phoenix thing, covering the news as it comes out.
When the director tells the actors, don't worry about ever reading the comics, the movie will have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
They're not even superheroes now.
Oh.
They're not even superheroes. They're people that are dealing with disabilities. They're treating their superhero powers as disabilities. So the Fantastic Four is now handicapped.
This is it's what I don't understand is you've got Marvel Studios who's doing a phenomenal job of making these movies, and even like the worst of their movies are still pretty good and they still fit within like the logical timeline. And you've got DC DC who's trying their best. And doing a pretty good job most of the time with keeping up with everything. I've been very open to the fact that I have no issues whatsoever with Ben Affleck as Batman. I have no, because people keep thinking of Ben Affleck 10 years ago and not the Ben Affleck now who was pretty fucking good in Argo and The Town and is a really good writer and is a geek. Like, he is a geek. Ben Affleck was far from the worst thing with Daredevil.
That was the script. It was a script and cinematography. I had an issue with Affleck for like a week, and then I watched Mallrats, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about all of the Kevin Smith stuff.
Yeah,
he was a nerd. He was always in.
Yeah, he was a geek.
He was a geek, and I'm like, I'm okay with it now. And then they showed. Like some side-by-sides for Bruce Wayne. I'm like, oh my god, he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. And then the
suit looks fine on him.
The suit came out and I was just like, he's Batman.
Yeah. He's fine.
And
he's absolutely fine.
I have no problems with it.
Well, here's my thing with that movie. Even if that movie is the biggest piece of shit, I guarantee people are going to walk out of there going, Ben Affleck was pretty badass in that movie. Because Ben Affleck is going into that movie, and this is, I don't know this from any interviews, this is just my personal theory. He's going in there, and he's thinking, this is my chance to do what Robert Downey Jr. did with Iron Man, and give the performance of my life to resurrect my dying career. Because his acting career has pretty much been he has just been a director.
He's been a director for a long time, yeah.
And like people are just like, for a long time, Ben Affleck's name was box office poison. Like, this is his chance of being like, I'm back. Yeah. So I'm like, that movie could be a steaming pile of shit, and I still guarantee people are going to walk out going, Ben Affleck was really good in that movie.
Still worried about Eisenberg. Still worried about the founder of Facebook being Lex Luthor.
Did you see I think it was College Humor did the video of him auditioning for the role of Lex Luthor?
No, I haven't seen that.
So good. Just him doing like the classic Jesse Eisenberg voice reading Lex Luthor dialogue.
Oh, wow. That's gonna be awesome. I gotta look that up. But I'm okay. I am so Batman versus Superman is not on my radar as far as like potential. I'm worried about the Fantastic Four, not because of how shitty the movie is. I understand that. We are right now in the golden age of comic book movies.
Yeah. Are you aware that this is going to be the start of the decline?
I'm worried.
Yeah. I don't know if it will be, because I think that. Well, there's two answers I have that. First of all, I think that people have already long given up on the Fantastic Four franchise. Like at least the X-Men produced a couple good movies.
But I think
Fantastic
it could be
Four,
so much better.
No, it could be, but as long as it's in the hands of Fox, it's never going to go there.
Just give it back to Marvel, you pretentious assholes.
But then there's also I would say 4 or 5 years ago, I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and there was a panel called Comics on Comics. And it was a bunch of stand-up comedians doing a Q&A session with people about comic books. And one of the questions that was asked was, with the recent box office failure that was Watchmen, people are saying that this is the end of comic book movies. Do you think that this is true or not? And the one comedian said, that's a bullshit question. He's like, I don't understand why everyone's just like, oh, well, that movie didn't do good. This is the end of superhero comics. He's like, did anyone say like it was the end of romantic comedies when Must Love Dogs didn't make the money that it was supposed to make? He's like, this has become its genre. Like, it's not, like, superhero movies is not like this novelty flash in the pan thing anymore. It is a genre that will be around as long as a horror film or as long as the romantic comedy. And, like, we've learned to accept that, like, some of them are going to suck and some of them are going to be good, but, like, we're going to keep seeing them. I'm like, that's actually really... that's a legit point. Because it's... Like, I feel like if the genre lasts a full decade, that's officially the... Yeah,
we're right around a decade now.
Well, I think the first...
2007, I think, was the first Marvel Universe...
I was going to say Marvel, but I think the first X-Men movie, which really started the whole thing going, was like 98, 99.
Yeah.
So it's been almost 2 decades. It's been...
Okay, yeah.
It's been like a decade and a half.
So we will survive.
We will survive a bad Fantastic Four movie. Because you think Marvel's planning on slowing down their train?
Marvel's really been screwing.
They're printing money right now, so I'm pretty sure that they're going to keep that train going.
At first, what Marvel was doing to the Fantastic Four and all that kind of stuff, I was kind of against it with their canceling their series. Basically, they're cutting every kind of support structure that Fox has to their movies.
Yeah.
Not releasing X-Men figures, not releasing Fantastic Four figures, canceling all their series, and then revamping and changing the characters.
I read recently, though, and this will make you excited, and I'll have to show them to you upstairs before you leave, but I've been a big fan of the Marvel Masterpiece card line from the 90s. They just announced that in November they are doing a new line of Marvel Masterpiece trading cards.
I'm not going to get sucked in again.
Oh, I'm getting sucked in.
I think I have the full collection of the Masterpiece. I have the full collection of the X-Men. I have the full collection of like pretty much every.
Yeah. See, I don't have a full collection of any of them, and it infuriates me because I need to find these missing pieces.
And let's be honest, they're worth like $5.
Still,
the whole thing.
As someone who's been trying to buy them lately, they're like at the $20, $30 mark on eBay if you have the full set now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, still, it's not worth what you spent on them, but, like, do you think about how good the artwork was on those cards?
Was amazing.
That's why they're bringing back the artist who did the 92, 93, 94 line to do the 2014 line. That alone is enough for me to throw down my money just to see what type of artwork he presents, because his artwork in those cards...
Yeah, they were amazing artwork. Actually, I liked all the artwork on a lot of the
when
cards.
Like I said, I've got 3 binders filled with these different cards, and it's funny when you flip through them because I didn't put them in any specific order. Mm-hmm. I was just like, these ones will fit into this binder best. These ones, and it's kind of cool seeing the way that the designs changed over like these. Like it'll go from like 94 right into like 1990, and then back into 93, and just seeing like the way that they were presented differently, and the way the characters looked in 90 versus how they looked in 94. And like, I love those trading cards. Like, that was something that I think for me as a child of the 90s, I will always remember my Saturday morning. I'd get up, I'd watch my Fox Kids cartoons until like 10:30, 11 o'clock. I would walk to the convenience store, I would get like a soda, I'd get a bag of my Dorito 3Ds. You remember the 3D Doritos? They were incredible. Yeah. And I would I'd buy some comics from little spinny spiral things. I didn't know where there was like an actual comic book shop near me at that time. And I'd pick up a deck of action cards, and me and the fucking neighbor would sit outside and do the trading card thing. Like, hey, I've got this one already. Do you have anything that you already have that I don't have? Like, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, like, I was lucky really early on to have a comic book store like right.
Yeah, mine was like the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, no, like I actually had like a comic book store. So yeah, I I think that might be where some of my bitterness comes towards the Masterpiece things, because
Yeah.
I was that kid that had a decent amount of disposable income because I worked at a really early age. So I go in there and it was just like, well, here's the new card.
The
I'm like,
new deck.
Gimme. Take my money. Take all my money. And then I'm like going through like literally a couple months ago, because I realize now Magic cards are
Back
ridiculously valuable.
Yeah, like it just everyone all at once just was like, "Hey, let's play Magic again."
Yeah, and all of a sudden, my deck is worth like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, let's see what happens with my Pogs.
Yeah, so I'm like searching. I'm rooting through everything to search for those cards so I can get rid of them.
Yeah.
Before the next bus goes out. And, yeah, so the next bus. So I'm like going through my stuff and I'm tossing out Beanie Babies and
all the other shit that you got sucked into.
Yeah, and I'm cursing, like I'm glad you're dead kind of thing to the comic book guy, and I feel really bad about saying that, but he really sucked me into a lot of really crap.
See, and I think that, and I obviously don't know your comic book guy.
So you were lucky that you didn't have a quote unquote comic book store at a very early age to have them just steal all of your money.
And I love my comic book guy because he's a guy who he's officially at the point in his store where he can pay his rent and live off of just his subscribers. And he said something to me the one day, because he's been in business like 10 years, I think. And he was like, man, I really hate it when people I don't know come into my store. It's and he gets like angry when kids come into the store. Like he's like he is like the total opposite of what like a comic shop owner should be. It's like, kids, money bank.
Yeah.
And it's just like, fucking kids are gonna be rifling through my back issues. They're gonna mix everything up. I gotta re-alphabetize. Like,
God, I hate customers.
Like, he literally, like, I was like. Literally, when he said that, all I could think of was that Clark's quote where it's like, this job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customers. Like, and it's funny because he would, like, if he's in there and it's his regulars, he'll be, like, joking and laughing and having a good time, and then, like, a new person comes in and he just gets real quiet. And she's like, what do you need? Like, it's like, he's so uninterested
There's a guy like that at my comic book store now, because obviously the one where I used to go, he died. So I that was one of the ways that I kind of fell out of comics.
Yeah, you're like, well, he's dead.
He's dead, and I was just like, but
so where do I go from here?
The next door is just so far, and I was just like, I didn't care anymore. And so now I'm at the new comic book store in Glassboro.
Okay,
the comic book store. It's actually called the comic book store.
Well, when he got the store, it was with his fiance, and she wanted to call it Cool Stuff. And he was just like, yeah, sure, whatever, we'll call it Cool Stuff. And then they broke up, so he actually changed his store's name to Effin' Comics. I'm like, that's a store name.
And
it tells you exactly what's inside there.
There's actually a lot of, I'm assuming it's actually a pretty successful comic book store. Like, they have a lot of employees in it. And it's funny to see the difference, because there are a couple guys in that store like you, or like your friend, that like when I walk in, they're like, "What the hell does he want?" And it's like, dude, I've been coming here for months now, and I'm not on that crowd level yet. I was like, I haven't been.
Yeah. I hate. There's a comic book store that's closer to here, and I won't throw them under the bus, but they're a little bit more well known kind of comic chain, one would say. If there was a case of them, you would show them off to people. And I don't know what it is with the employees. If it's the owner's always cool. Like, if I have to pop in there to buy, like, because the guy who runs my comic book shop doesn't really have any, like, D&D related stuff. So if I need to get figures or I need to get paint or stuff like that, I have to go to this store. Mm-hmm. If he's there, super friendly, whatever. All of the other employees, I don't understand how they're working at a comic book store. Like, and the one guy who pissed me off, and I just wanted to, like, grab him and be like, do you not understand how to do your job? Was like, I was at the register, I'm paying for my fucking paints, and I see this advertisement, like, Peter Parker back in the next issue of Spider-Man, and I chuckled, and I was like, that didn't take too long to bring him back from the dead. And I was like, huh? And I'm like, so do you know if they're going to keep Miles around for... And he just goes, look, I fucking hate Spider-Man, okay? He's like, so I don't really have an answer for you. I'm like, what are you doing working at a comic book shop and you just have no information on arguably the most popular character that you probably sell a comic for?
Yeah,
like even if you don't
X-Men,
like
Superman, Batman.
Yeah, like if you don't know it or if you don't like it, you have to pretend that you understand.
You feign interest.
Like Jesus Christ, like
it's like going. It's like going into like a Sam Goodyear and I don't even know if those exist anymore, but Sam Goodyear and FYI or something like that, and it's like, hey, what do you know about? I fucking hate music. Can you just like buy something? Really?
Yeah, like asking them about like, oh, do you have that new CD by Lorde? And then being like, I hate popular music. It's like, don't work in a goddamn CD store.
Yeah.
Go work at the record shop down the street and you can peddle your 70s records to some hipster douchebag.
Yes, the hipsters.
Hey, man. They're going to save CDs, I'm telling you.
They really are.
Because they've already started to save cassette tapes.
They're the only reason for record shops. Record shops are like, yes, please, hipsters, don't die.
Literally, they're buying cassettes again. Like that. That's not a joke. Like they're buying. If you have '80s hair metal cassettes, you can sell them shit to hipsters. I
don't have hair metal.
Like that's apparently what they've been going for is like death and hair metal cassette tapes.
Let me know when the hair metal or when the hipsters stuff go for like Debbie Gibson and stuff like that. That was good. Only in my dreams, right there. Electric Youth. I got those two.
And I'm still like people were making fun of me because I went out and bought the Weird Al CD.
That was awesome.
They're like, why don't you just get it on like iTunes or something? I'm like, no, like Weird Al, you have to have the CD.
Yes.
He's always got his silly pictures inside and like. You know, how am I going to know what he's...
Mandatory Fun, I bought...
Dude, Mandatory Fun is amazing. Yeah. Like that CD... And I've loved Weird Al every album. But this is like his best album in years. Like there's like something where it's like... There was a lot of time and care put in this CD where I feel like... Because he keeps saying how this is his last actual CD. Like he's going to just do digital singles and stuff like that. And I feel like he took his time to be like, if this is going to be the last CD I put out... I'm going out big.
Well,
like
apparently, this is the last CD on his contract. Like, he somehow had
14 album contract that lasted 32 years.
Like that was holy. It's like crap. Like I know you guys probably don't listen or watch sports or anything. Like that's worse than the Bobby Bonilla contract. Bobby Bonilla, by the way, has been out of sports for at least 8 years, and he still has 15 years left on his contract. The New York Mets are still paying him $1 million a year till 2032.
Jesus Christ!
Who came up with that idea? I have no idea.
Well, and that's what boggles my mind more. And this sounds like a shot at Weird Al, but it's just a shot at logic. Why would you sign a novelty act to a 14 album deal? Like. They didn't know he was going to have this type of career. Like, you're telling me they listened to My Bologna and was like, oh, yeah, we can get 14 albums out of this? But I think he said that it was originally, like, and this still doesn't make that much sense to me, but it was originally, like, an 8-album contract. And then, like, as it got near the end, they were like, hey, we'll bounce it up to 14 if you want to re-sign. He was like, okay. But it was still like, who signs a novelty act for 8 albums? That is an album-by-album contract.
Yes, that is...
Like, okay, we'll put out another One Rides the Bus, and we'll see how it goes.
We didn't go broke, so we'll give you another one.
Yeah, we'll give you another one. And that would... I feel like most people, especially in this day and age, that would be their contract for their entire life.
Yes.
The second that they didn't make their money back on one album, peace. Get out. Yeah. You're flesh in the pan.
But he got 14... And it's amazing because how many people that you know... acts, and I'm talking like go to the superstars, everything like that. How many of them had 14 contract or 14 albums out?
Yeah, ever. Well, they said that he's for the most part outlasted every single artist that he has parodied.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's not as popular as like Nirvana still is, but he definitely had a hell of a lot more albums than Nirvana did. He had more albums than Michael Jackson.
I don't think he's done an Aerosmith song.
No.
So that would be like the only...
No, he did. Living on the Fridge. Living in the Fridge on Alpalooza.
Yeah. Living in the Fridge, yeah.
And like Madonna.
Yeah. So outside of those two people...
Yeah, because it's like... Actually, here's a fun trivia question one day if you ever want to blow someone away with your Weird Al trivia. And this was out of me being bored one time. Do you know what artist, if you include actual parodies, his style parodies, and his polkas, which artist he is lampooned the most. Because it's not one that you would expect, actually.
So that means it's not Michael Jackson.
It's not Michael Jackson.
Not Madonna.
I'll tell you who might actually have surpassed this because of Mandatory Fun is Pharrell, because 3 Pharrell songs are on Mandatory Fun.
Tacky,
he was the background singer on Word Crimes, and he's the singer of Get Lucky in the polka. Okay. Wow, yeah, that's 3, wow. So, right off this person had 4.
I don't know. Wow, polkas, because if you're
it's the polkas are the big ones.
Yeah.
It's REM.
Oh.
He did Spam. Losing My Religion was in a polka.
Mm-hmm.
I forget.
I remember the polka for Losing My Religion.
And Bang and Blame was in another polka. It was in the alternative polka. And Frank's 2000-inch TV is written in the style of REM. Like with the mandolins and everything.
I know I own the one with, I think that might be the Jurassic Park CD.
Yeah, Alpalooza is the one with Frank's 2000-inch TV.
Yeah.
You don't want to, my Weird Al knowledge runs deep, sir. I even have
I see that.
I even have the rare, hard to find Peter and the Wolf Weird Al CD. You remember the musical? You remember the little musical thing, Peter and the Wolf? Like, do. He did his own Weird Al version of it with all the music, but him narrating the story of Peter and the Wolf over top of the music.
Okay, yeah, that's deep cut.
It's not that great, but
it's not that.
But I'm glad that I have it. Just so, like, one day I will meet Weird Al and be like, I tore into the rarest of your albums because I heard that it existed and I couldn't find a copy. Literally, I would have never known that CD existed, except for the fact that he was giving it away on the Comedy Bang Bang like end of the year auction. Like they do like a big auction every year for like Hunger. And he's like, yeah, this year I'm going to be auctioning off a copy of my Peter and the Wolf album. He's like, it's pretty rare, only like 200 copies were ever made. And I was like, Pirate Bay! Like, Weird Al, Peter and the Wolf, what do you got for me? Search.
Oh, that's...
And then I listened to it, I'm like, it's funny. But I'll like never listen to it again. Like it was just one of those like, I have it, I can say I have it, I've heard it. Mm-hmm. But if I was doing my list of the best albums from best to worst...
like that wouldn't be anywhere near.
It would probably be either... I think when I did the list, I made it the second worst album. And I actually put Alapalooza as the worst album.
What was on Alapalooza?
Alapalooza was Jurassic Park, Frank's 2000-inch TV, Living in the Fridge, the Bedrock Anthem, the song Talk Soup, Harvey the Wonder Hamster, the Bohemian Polka. All that stuff's on there. And this was my only justification, was that I felt like Alapalooza, like Talk Soup was originally written to be the theme song for Talk Soup, and they turned it down, so we threw it on the album. And Bedrock Anthem was written because of the Flintstones movie. It was supposed to be on the soundtrack for the Flintstones movie. And even the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like, that was a pretty shitty parody. Like, it wasn't a very good parody. The Bohemian Polka was just like, I'm not even going to do a polka medley. I'm just going to cover one song in the form of polka. And it just kind of felt like this phoned in, like... I jokingly called it his sellout album, but it was just kind of like a, hey, here's a bunch of shit that's popular this year. Let me just throw this together real quick and get it out. The Peter and the Wolf thing I actually put higher than it for no other reason. I was like, it's a ballsy fucking album to put out.
Yeah.
And he put it out right after Polka Party, which was his worst selling album at the time. So I was like, it's kind of ballsy that, like, he had an album that did really badly, and instead of, like, going right back to, like, what made him money... was just like, well, fuck it. I'm already as low as I can go. Let me do this little passion piece that I wanted to do, and then I'll record Fat. Like,
yeah,
like I'll go back to the Michael Jackson well in a second, but I really want to do this Peter and the Wolf thing.
And Fat was awesome.
Fat was the music. Like that music video is so ridiculous.
Yeah, but so well done.
And they used the exact same locations. Like Michael Jackson showed them exactly where they shot Bad, so that it could be as authentic as possible. Like, that's incredible. And I love that. I love the idea of, like, as each year goes by and Weird Al is still with us as a national treasure, the artists are, like, more and more welcoming to showing them how they did their videos and how they did this and how they did this, because they want the parody and the video to be as good and perfect as possible. Like, there's...
Well, because it's a form of honor to be
Chamillionaire said that the only reason he won the Grammy for Best Rap Song was because of Weird Al. He was like, I remember Weird Al said that was the biggest compliment he ever received, was he was at the Grammys, and Chamillionaire had just won the rap Song of the Year, and went up to him and was like, I wouldn't have this if it wasn't for White and Nerdy. He's like, because when you chose to parody that song, it made the world know that that was the most popular rap song of the year. I'm like, that's all. Like,
I gotta give Weird Al a lot of credit.
He's a class act.
He's a very classic. He's never cussed in any of his.
No, he's got a few masturbation jokes that he hides in there.
But he's never actually, even when he did At Midnight.
Yeah.
Still didn't cuss.
Yeah, he's not a he's a very family friendly guy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to ask anybody for permission, but he chooses to.
Yeah.
Which I think is classy.
He's actually a really good rapper.
Yes.
Like his if you're a fan of rap at all and everything like that, and you listen to his rap is on point. Like his
Oh, it took me a long time to learn how to, because every once in a while I'll do a Weird Al set for like a local concert. Like people will be like, oh, let's do a cover show, and I'm always like, I'll do a Weird Al set. And White and Nerdy took me a long time to figure out, like, because even when he does it live, sometimes he has to have half of the rap recorded. Yeah. And he'll like take breaths in the middle of the raps.
Yeah. I've been browsing X-Men comics music. Oh, I can't even. But when the song's on, I got it. I've been browsing
X-Men comics, collect them. Pens in my pocket, I must protect them.
My ergonomic keyboard never leaves me bored.
Yeah, well, even like, and I remember people were like so blown away by the White and Nerdy rap, and it's impressive.
Yeah, it's a very impressive song.
But I still think I was like, I knew the man could rap. I heard all about the Pentiums like the rest of us. All about the Pentiums. I still think is one of the most impressive parodies he's ever done, because to me the terms it's still, and the stuff that he's just dropped.
I'll give you that, but I can't hear Gangster's Paradise
without hearing Amish Paradise.
Yeah, like I don't. That's to me, that is what makes a Weird Al song for me. It is better if it makes me replace the words.
Well, that's like, what's his face? The guy who wrote American Pie says that he sometimes accidentally sings lyrics of The Saga Begins when he's performing American Pie, because it's so buried into his brain. And Presidents of the United States of America, to this day, whenever they perform Gump, they end it by going, I'm all done. Because they were like, that's awesome.
I can't hear Eric Clapton, Layla.
Yeah. Wait.
Or is Lola?
Are you thinking about the Kinks, Lola? Lola.
Okay, sorry.
That's the Kinks.
Yeah.
I'm like, Layla.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
two songs. Yeah, Lola.
Because all those L musicians that bands are singing about.
I can't hear anything other than Yoda.
Yeah. Oh, it's. I mean, and there was that point where he wasn't around. Like I remember, for me, because I think I'm a little bit younger than you. So for me, it was Amish Paradise that was like when I discovered who Weird Al was. Just sitting around watching The Box, and this weird.
The Box was awesome.
Yeah, it was. This weird video comes on. I'm like, what is this? And like I remember being like a little kid and like trying to explain it to my parents. I'm like, he's Weird Al something, and they're like, yeah, Yankovic. And I'm like, you know who he is? I thought he was a brown.
20 years.
Yeah, I thought he was this brand new artist. I remember someone their brother had the CD, and they took the CD and put it on a cassette tape for me, and I listened to that cassette tape like every single day.
Oh, yeah.
And then I found out that my cousin was a Weird Al fan from back in the day, so I was borrowing his, Off the Deep End, Dare to Be Stupid, and like all this stuff, and just collecting this. I was like, this is like. You can do this! Like, I know.
Like, oh my god, he's been doing this for more than a year. Yeah. Like, it's still going on.
Yeah, it was just one of those like, you can do that? Like, you can rewrite people's lyrics, and it's okay. And it's funny. And it's just like, this is so cool. And then, like, that was one of those things where, like, wrestling kind of went away from me when I got into high school. And, comic books went away for a long time. But, like, I still had that elementary school excitement whenever a new Weird Al CD came out. I was just like, oh my god, he's back.
He's back. He never went away.
That's the thing.
He's been around since 77.
Something like that. Well, his first album was 83. But yeah, he was doing like Dr. Demento since like the late 70s, early 80s. Like, because his first song was one of his unreleased songs from that time period is "It's Still Billy Joel to Me," where he wrote "It's Still Rock and Roll to Me" about how all of Billy Joel's songs sound the same. And he never released it because he's like, it's kind of mean. Like, I don't like attacking an artist directly. Like, that was when he was like the punk rock kid.
But he went full force on Bill Ray Cyrus
Yes, Achy Breaky Song.
Yeah.
Well, and Nirvana. I mean, I love the story of him. You've heard the infamous story of how he got the permission for that song,
No.
right? Nirvana was the musical guest on Saturday Night Live, and Veronica Jackson was still working for Saturday Night Live, and she was in the UHF.
Mm-hmm.
And he called her, and he's like, "Look, I have this great idea for a song. Can you please get me on the phone with Nirvana tonight?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." So she said, like, "Look, I'm really good friends with Weird Al. He wants to do a parody of Smells Like Teen Spirit. Can you talk to him?" And Kurt Cobain was like, "Okay, sure." And he calls him up, and he's just like, "I really want to do a parody of Smells Like Teen Spirit." And he goes, and Kurt Cobain goes, "All right, cool. It's not going to be about food, is it?" And Weird Al just goes, "Actually, it's going to be about how no one understands your lyrics." And he just went, "All right, cool." And it's like Kurt Cobain was like the biggest Weird Al fan you could imagine, because he's like, he got us. Like, he nailed it. We did, like, he wrote that shit in the studio, like, spur of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you called me out on it. My lyrics make no sense in that song.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mosquito, my libido, yeah. I think we could all wish to have a Weird Al length career. Like, if we...
Yeah, I like, we've been doing modeling for 9 years now, and most of the years have been good, and some years have really sucked. I hope I do this for the next 20 years.
Yeah. Do you feel like the convention circuit is going to be like the next, like, do you see already the convention circuit being more worth your time, not just from the fun level, but from a financial standpoint?
Well, see, the problem with the cons right now
is that you're paying to be there instead of being paid to be there.
Well, yeah, that too. Although we're coming around.
Nice.
One of the things that worries me is that the large cons are never going to have a problem. Like, New York Comic Con is never going to have a problem.
New York and San Diego is going to be there forever.
They're going to be there forever.
Wizard World's going to keep burning bridges, and God knows how much longer they're going to be around.
I still got to think that they're going to be around for a while.
I think they're going to be around for a while, but I don't think they're going to have the staying power.
They're going to be around at least for the next 5 years.
Probably, but I don't think that they're going to surpass
like
10.
At their, well, you never know what they're going to do, though.
They might be able to set, but like you have to factor in that they're a comic book convention that none of the major comic book companies bother with.
Yeah.
Like, and that's going to hurt. Unless they can find a way to mend whatever bridges they burned with Marvel and DC and Image and Vertigo and all those comic companies, like, they're just going to be an indoor yard sale that has a couple celebrities.
Yeah.
And, like, they need to find a bigger, like, the problem with Wizard Worlds, and I love that I always end up shitting on them, and then I write to them and, like, and be like, "Press pass, please."
By the way, August 21st to the 24th, Wizard World Chicago, we'll be there.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. But I feel
we love you.
I want to love Wizard World because I used to love Wizard World.
Mm-hmm.
They need someone that can step up and have a focus and be like, "Look, this like with an anime con, you know what you're getting at an anime con. With a Comic Con, you know that you're going in there for comics, but there's going to be like a bunch of other geek related stuff there. Even with like RetroCon, like you're going into RetroCon and you're like, this is going to be a convention about the 80s and 90s. Like, that's what the main focus point is. Wizard World is just kind of like here's the people that said yes. It's like if you could find a way to rope that in.
Wizard World Chicago, they're having a Star Trek like reunion.
See, and that's awesome.
And
like, I want more.
We're talking
of that.
Like Patrick Stewart, William Shatner.
See, and that's what Philly never has. That though, I feel like Philly's just been like slowly imploding into itself. And
they had all the Marvel guys from. I mean,
yeah, they get the artists, but like the actual comic companies, like, I have no interest in. In coming to your con, sir.
But the only thing I'm worried about with the scene right now, I love the scene. I absolutely love the scine. I hope it retires the scene. I hope it never dies. And that's the only reason why I'm a little worried about Fantastic Four, just because I don't want that dent. I don't care. We understand that it'll never go away, but I still don't want that downtime.
Look, we survived Catwoman.
We survived Green Lantern. I understand.
We survived Catwoman. We survived Elektra.
And Green Lantern, and Daredevil.
There's been a lot that's tried to pop that balloon. Yeah, there's been some powered through. But we survived the rise of the Silver Surfer. The CG cloud of Galactus.
Oh, that hurt. But
we'll get through.
Yeah, we'll we'll carry on. But my only worry about the comic book scene is, or the con scene, is growing at such an exponential rate that the big shows will never have a problem, but the small shows are getting flooded. Yeah. Because, like, for example, New York Comic Con is now selling out at the rate of San Diego Comic Con.
Yes,
like, the tickets are going out day of, and you're gone. Like, if you're not sitting at, if you don't take an hour for your lunch and
to buy that ticket the second day
you're not getting in now, and that is causing a cascading effect to the smaller cons. Like, for example, we were just at Allentown Comic Con 2 weeks ago, and it's a small con. It's a very small con. Like, the room we're in right now is about the size of the con.
Okay.
That was like 1,000-person con.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Last year. This year was probably about 5,000.
Okay.
You can't fit 5,000 people in this room. No. And also there's like, well, it's a 1,000-person con. We didn't need to worry about AC last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that was... I think that it's going to be a learning...
The people were melting. Like
there's going to be that learn... I helped out with a con when I was in Los Angeles, the Kamikaze. It was the first year they ever did Kamikaze. And it did...
I definitely want to do that next year.
It did insane... Like, I will hook you up. Literally, the founder of the company is a friend of mine. But I don't know if I can hook you up with that much. But I can be like, hey, when you see this person's contract, you let them slide on through. But... They were, like, she was like, this is gonna, my goal is to have enough people come out that maybe in 3 or 4 years I'll make my money back on attendance. Like, she was business savvy enough to know that the chances of her making her money back on a first con was just, like, not there. Yeah. It's like, you just have to make it so good that more people want to come to the next one, and more people want to come to the next one, and eventually... you'll make back what you lost and then some until you're in the green again. And like 20,000 people. Like, it was just like, we thought like maybe like 4,000 or 5,000 people would shuffle in, and it was just like, boom! Like doors blown off the hinges. I got to host like 3 panels because there were so many people and such a demand for panels. They're just like, Matt, go talk on a microphone. Like, go talk about zombies with Matt Moog from the Zombie Research Society. I'm like, okay.
But like I said, that's the only thing I worry about the scene right now is that these smaller cons where you're used to only having like a couple hundred people, whatever like that.
But they're going to adapt. They're going to know that they have to get a bigger room.
But the problem is we are in a troll society right now. People are looking for a reason to hate bitch. Shit. Yeah. And there was a lot of hate at Allentown because people were dying, basically. Yeah. Like, it was hot. And it was basically, it's in an antique flea market style mall. And if you got 1,000 people there, it's actually a really nice con to be.
Yeah.
When you got 5,000 people and you have much. 2 people taking tickets.
Yeah, it's forever.
2, yes.
And there was no like sign from the beginning that there was going to be more than the normal crowd.
But see, that's the thing, because when you... The con's been there for this is its 5th year that they've been doing it. So you have a general
like growth.
A growth. Like a good con grows by about 15% a year.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've learned through just doing this stuff this year. That most of your cons you're looking for a modest between 5 and 15% growth.
Yeah. 500%. Some
of these cons are now getting 100, 200, 300% growth year over year, and their dates are stacking up behind them, and they don't know how to fix it because they haven't even thought about down the road. Okay, we'll go into a different place because we've been here fine, and there hasn't been any kind of problems.
Yeah.
And now a lot of these cons are forced with moving to new locations and much more expensive locations, and
the price of the ticket
goes up. But you have all that bad press from the year before,
and I think that there's people who don't understand what the different types of conventions are.
Yeah,
like I think that there's people, and I always feel bad because I feel like I'm that dude who's like, I'm gonna come rain on your parade. But like when they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to this con. It's in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's $3. I'm like, no, you're going to a hotel. And you're going to stand in their lobby and buy used comics off of like 4 or 5 guys. Like, if your comic convention you're going to costs less than $5,
Yes.
I can promise you're going to an indoor flea market.
Yeah.
But they still they advertise as like, hey, it's the Cherry Hill Comic Con.
Yeah. Jersey Con, man.
Yeah,
Come down to Jersey.
And there's like a million. There's like one a week. Like there's a Comic Con in the tri-state area every week.
Yes.
That's just like a bunch of dudes who run a comic book shop. Like, hey, let's just get rid of some of our old stock. We'll charge like $3 at the hotel door.
Pretty much.
And still a great time to go get like back issues that you need. You're like, all right, I'll go see what they got for $1 over here.
I still feel claustrophobic from Jersey Con, and that was back in May. It was okay. It's half this room.
Yeah.
And like 3,000 people.
That's a tiny ass. That's like a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even want to imagine that. I'm like looking around the room. Like,
and it was $20 to get in. It was $20 to get into your. Basically, it's $20 to get into your basement.
Nice.
And it's kind of expensive. The only thing I did like.
I should start charging that.
Yeah, the only thing I did like is their panels were actually extremely accessible.
Here's the thing. I am a big fan of all of the small comic conventions for their panels. I think that those panels have been and will always be better than the New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con panels because those panels are too Hollywoody and too like, we're just going to announce a bunch of shit versus like these awesome small convention panels where it's like people who are passionate about shit doing a discussion panel about what they're passionate about, and it's just interesting to hear.
I got to listen to Drew Roy from Falling Skies.
Nice.
And it was basically just one-on-one with him, and there was maybe 20 people there. And it was awesome because it was talking about this, and because it was such a smaller crowd, he kind of got into some of the stuff that you probably wouldn't hear at a regular con about how he got into the scene and some of the like little backstories from his work. And
one of the coolest panels I ever stumbled.
I was just like, oh.
One of the coolest panels I ever stumbled into was when the first year I ever went to New York Comic Con, and this was probably like 6 or 7 years ago. This was a long ass time ago. Me and my roommate were there. We were running around doing interviews for Geekscape. We were there on our press pass, and we thought we were going to a panel about how to survive a zombie apocalypse. Like this was like just as the zombie thing was like starting to get going. And I guess we went into the wrong room where they'd switched rooms, but like where we were located when we realized that we weren't at the right panel, it would have been an awkward situation to get up and move.
So you sat through all Brony Love?
So we sat through a panel about webcomics, and it was the creators of Penny Arcade and the guy who did Garfield minus Garfield, and like the guys from Side 9 and Happiness. And this was like 6 years ago when those were all still kind of like semi-popular. Mm-hmm. Like they weren't like massive yet. Like they were like, the people who were into webcomics were into webcomics, but most people didn't. Like they weren't like everyone was sharing it on Facebook every day. And we were like, this is the coolest panel ever. Like these guys are so cool, they're so funny, and they were like dispensing all this information. And I think the following year we went and there was like Comics the Image Way, and it was like a half-empty room, and it was all of the big writers at Image talking about how to get your comic book published at Image Comics and like what the process is of like you know, you have to have 3 pages drawn up, and you have to have a script for the full first issue, and you mail it into them, and they'll review it, and they'll send you back notes on how to improve it, and like all this, like he's like they're very like wanting to help you out. And I'm like, this is so informative. Like you won't get these type of panels at like San Diego.
No,
like you go to San Diego, and it's just like every Hollywood studio announcing their movies. And I this year I remember looking at the New York Comic Con panel and kind of feeling like it's looking like it's starting to shift a little bit more to the Hollywood announcements and a little less to like the let's just let some dude with a podcast have his friends sit around and talk about cosplay. Which is my dream. Like I would love to do a cosplay panel at a convention. So if we ever end up at the same convention, we'll have to try to set up a way to rent a room and do a panel on cosplay as just a giant advertisement for your calendar.
TenoshiCon?
TenoshiCon? Maybe. I can definitely do that at TenoshiCon.
There you go.
I haven't spoken to her since the last TenoshiCon. I had a good time at that. I didn't expect that to be nearly as popular as it ended up being.
April 25th. Yeah. Let's go.
Like
we're planning on going anyway, but still.
But no, like that first year, like me and my roommate were like, that's gonna be like 150 kids, 200 kids. Like we thought there was going to be like nothing.
No, there was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
I think everybody was.
It was a first year show. Yeah.
I was like, "There's no way." Like,
well, it's because, and we'll give Tenoshi-Kan a lot of credit. She is a geek. Like,
yeah,
she is
a geek to the core,
and she's actually a pretty good cosplayer too.
Yes, she is. She's a very good cosplayer. She's very friendly.
Yeah, I complimented on her saber when she walked by, and she was just like, "Oh my god, you know who I am?" I'm like, "Of course, you're dressed perfectly."
Yeah,
like,
I didn't recognize who she was, and I don't mean that in the well. Like, I don't watch anime, so that didn't help me at all. But like, she said hi to me, and I didn't know who she was. Like, she walked into one of the panels, and they were checking to make sure everyone had their badges, and she was like, "Hey, Matt," and I'm like, "Sam." Like, I just didn't recognize her. I met her a week earlier when she did the podcast, and I had no clue who she was. Like, I don't know who you are. Like,
but she was really friendly at the end of the con. Like, I was loading stuff in. She came and talked to me and personally thanked me for coming and everything like that. And hopefully for next year, I was just like, I'm coming.
Well, and there's a thing where you develop these relationships. I never met Scott Derby in my life when I asked him to do a panel at Tenoshi-Con. Mm-hmm. Strictly because my roommate was doing T-shirts for T-Fury and Ripped, and I knew that he was from Westchester and that he had done T-shirts for those companies. And I figured, what the hell? Like, shoot a message, what's the worst that can happen? He's like, yeah, I'd love to do it. And, like, now, you know, I hit him up on Facebook every once in a while. Every con, he's there with his art booth, and I just swing by and we talk for, like, 25, 30 minutes, and it's like, you get to know each other in those settings. Like, you walk by, and it's not like, hey, I'm Matt from the Saint Mort Show. Like, I just walked by his table, it's like, Matt! Like, it's like, it's cool, like, to know that you kind of develop that, you know, much like wrestling is, like, the last version of, like, the traveling, like, vaudeville show. Mm-hmm. Like, the con is kind of like the traveling circus. Like, it's kind like, there's that whole group of people
you're seeing a lot of people that you constantly see over and over again.
I mean, the people from when I did San Diego 3 years in a row, I want to say. And from doing San Diego those 3 years, like, the people at the Trauma booth know me because they were always located right next to us. Mm-hmm. The people at Legendary Films who run that table, like, they know me. The people from Escapist Magazine used to know me before they all started to quit the company. But it was like, it's cool to, like, you know, when I moved back home, I would still go to, like, New York Comic Con, and I would see my friends from Legendary and my friends from Escapist, and we would chat, and I would find out what they were up to and stuff like that. And it's like, you really do develop, like, this friendliness towards people when...
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to be in a position where doing cons was, like, a full-time job. Like, I'm very envious of your ability to just be like, yeah, no, I'm flying out to this con this month. I'm flying
driving out to Chicago. I don't like taking planes.
Afraid the Russians will shoot you down?
Well, it's not... Pro-separatists and... No, I have models with me. It's like, I'm a cheap person. It's much cheaper for me to just drive them there than to fly them there. So...
Fair enough.
They're driving. I'm sweeping through Ohio, grabbing Madeline and Lily, and heading out to Chicago. So we'll be out to Chicago for 4 days. It's gonna be fun, but I'm excited for it. But I like a lot of the smaller cons, and the smaller cons obviously are much more welcoming to our company, and it's just like, oh my god, you have that many fans? Yes, come to our show.
Yeah, please bring them.
So we're going to Retro MegaCon.
Yeah, I got confused because you invited me to the Retro MegaCon thing, and I just accept everybody. Like, I'm like, okay, sure, I'll like this page. I'll, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And my roommate was like, you know, you liked the wrong RetroCon. I'm like, no, I know the RetroCon here. Mm-hmm. I know Retro MegaCon isn't really that close to me.
No, yeah, it's in Georgia,
but hey, I support any of those little things.
Yeah, but they're having us down, so we'll be down there. It's gonna be the same weekend as Tenoshi-Con, so we're gonna be splitting our team up.
Oh no! Are you gonna decide which one you're gonna be at?
Oh no, I'm gonna be at Tenoshi-Con.
Do you have models down like near Georgia where you can just send them?
I have girls that have been working on the team for a lot of years and everything like that, so it'll be very easy to just send them down.
Just send them there.
I don't really feel like driving down to Georgia.
And I would love to. I mean, that's like I said. Just like, even if you got to that point where it's like, oh, people actually want to have a live Saint Mort show at their con, like I would drop every job I have. If they were just like, hey, we'll just pay you to fly out to these cities and do a con with these guests. Okay, I've done 92, 93 episodes so far, so I think I've got a little bit of experience with talking to people. But we are about to wrap up this episode. It was a good little chat.
Wow.
Yeah, that hour flew by, right?
Yeah.
So you've got the calendar is coming out for next year.
Yeah, the calendar is coming out next month. We're just wrapping up all the final shots and everything like that. So if you wanted to pick one up, it is theapbikiniteam.com/cosplay.html. For some reason, if you don't put the .html at the end on your phones or anything like that, it kind of goes a little wacky.
And I'll throw a link in there for that.
Facebook.com/Ashen Phoenix Models is our Facebook page.
This probably won't be out for about a week or two, but are you guys still doing some type of campaign for the fall convention?
Well, yeah. Obviously, there's been a little bit of pushback there and everything like that because whatever. But yeah, our GoFundMe. You can find that on our Ashen Phoenix page. It's basically just to kind of help us cut down some of the costs because some of the costs for con tables are kind of getting exorbitant.
Yeah.
And it's basically just kind of to curb our some of our fees, so that way I'm not blowing people on the street for money.
Well, I mean, now just for pleasure.
Yeah, just for pleasure. Now. I mean, you get so much more enjoyment when it's not work.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Paul. You guys go and check out Ashen Phoenix.